Okay. Welcome to the newly elected clerks training for the courts and court technology. You're here to join us today. Before we get started with that, I wanted to let you all know that we are again recording this session. It will be available on our website probably by the end of this week. The rest of them are already up there, so if you missed one at some point, it is available for you to go back and to rewatch. We are planning on sending out a survey. Tomorrow is the plan for that to go out. It's just a short survey. It's all anonymous. We just ask that you please answer as honestly as you can. We do use that to better our trainings as we move forward. And this year, these newly elected sessions are completely different. We've always done them in person, so this is the first time that we've done them in these small bite-sized sessions. So we're really kind of eager to get your feedback on that and how will that work for you. We are also going to be working the next few weeks on getting certifications together. So any of the sessions that you attended and logged into, you will get a letter that certifies you were there for that time for your training hours. You will get an email from that, so be on the lookout for that moving forward. As far as that goes, this is the very last session, not only for clerks, newly elected clerks, but for all of our affiliates. You will, from after this one, you'll roll over into the regular clerks trainings that we put on. So in June, we'll hope to be able to see you. We're hoping to do an in-person conference, but again, more information will be coming on that as we get closer to that date. Well, without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and hand this over to Jeff and to Galen, and they are going to talk to you guys about, their stuff.
Thank you. I think some of you know me, but there are some new clerks that names I don't recognize. So let me tell you who I am. My name's Jeff Weiss. I am one of the deputy directors at the Indiana Office of Court Services. The area that I'm in charge of is legal support and statistics. So my area handles, questions from judges, questions from clerks, trying to find answers on what type of cases, what type of case type it needs to be, research questions about filing fees. We follow the General Assembly and put out a legislative blog, things that affect the courts. That's going on right now. And I'm probably the one person you're going to want to know at Indiana Office of Court Services. Like I said, we provide assistance to clerks, and my main goal with this session here is to let you know we exist, and if you have a question, how to get a hold of us. And I sent you earlier this morning an email that had several links to find things on the website, and also an attachment that is arranged by legal area, a question area that lets you know who in my office you should talk to if you want to know what case type to use or things like that. And I hope you use that. It'll help you get in touch with all of us easier. I don't have a lot of prepared information for you. I'm hoping we have time for questions and answers, but I just want to go over a few things with you about being a clerk and how that intersects with the court. You are the custodian of the court record, and what that means depends on what county you're in and how they're handling things. In most counties, it means you're the ones that are keeping the court record. When in paper days, you had a whole bunch of file cabinets. I'm not sure that you still have those. I imagine some of you do. But now that we're in the electronic world, you're the ones that maintain the electronic records. You open the cases for the court and assess the filing fees and collect the money. We couldn't do our jobs without you, and we're very thankful you're there. Your office is where most people go to if they want a copy of something in the court record. So you are going to be dealing with public access questions. And my office is here to help you with that. If you have a public access question, you don't know if somebody is entitled to see something, feel free to call me. Or if you get a public access request and you're not sure how to handle it, let me know. Let our office know, because we can sure help you with that. You also provide service duties. So not so much in the electronic world anymore, but if there's a pro se person or self-represented person, somebody who's not e-filing, you may still be required to do service for them. And if you've got questions about service, we'll be glad to help you. Let's see. What else do I want to tell you? Now that we're e-filing, now that most of us attorneys are required to e-file, so in most cases the filing party is responsible for doing service. We just had a clarification on the e-filing rule that went into effect the 1st of this year that says you do still have to do service, initial service for filings by the prosecutors, but subsequent service for their cases is up to them. I hope they understand that, and I hope that takes some of the burden off of you. You are still required to do service for people represented by legal aid attorneys as long as they provide you with documentation that they are a legal aid attorney. It's required by statute, and if anybody has questions about that, let us know. I wanted to let you know how to find some things on our website. So, Ricky, if you want to give me control, I will pull up our website and show you how to find some things. Our website is chock full of wonderful information, but so much stuff, it's hard to find. And I am going to share my screen now and show you how to find some things. Am I sharing? I hope I am. Great. Okay. This is the home page for the court's website. It's courts.in.gov. Most of you know that. If you don't, you're going to know it soon. There's all kinds of things on our website, as I said, but digging down to the things that are important to clerks is really hard to find. It's not intuitive as far as I'm concerned. I didn't design the website, so I can talk about it. If you go up here, I don't know, I hope you can see this there's an orange box that says menu. If you click on that, a drop-down box comes up, and you'll notice there's 2 court and clerk offices. That's very confusing to me. The one at the top just gives court and clerk addresses. You probably don't need to know your address, but the bottom one, court and clerk offices, if you click on that, this is going to take you to a screen that will give you links to the information you're going to use most often. If you click on that, it pulls up a whole bunch of resources that you may need to answer questions or help the public. And I sent you some direct links to some of these in the email I sent to you, but there's all of these desk books and handbooks and tutorials and explanations about things that we think clerks might want to know or might need to know. Just a few things that I want to point out to you. The Trial Court Administration Manual, the first one up here, that's a list of topics that we get questions on a lot. The full title is the Trial Court Administration Manual for Judges and Clerks, and I don't know what happened, why that popped up, but it's a whole bunch of topics, and under each of these topics is a chapter about something that we get a lot of questions on. Assigning case numbers is one of them, and hopefully this pulls up, and it doesn't look like, maybe it's just because I'm sharing my screen that it's running so very slow. I'm not going to wait for it to pop up. If it pops up, great. You'll see an explanation, a detailed explanation about how to assign a case number and which case number to use. And it also gives you the name and an email address of somebody to contact if you have more questions. So I will back out of this and see if we get back to the website, so I can show you a few more things, and if it doesn't work, that's fine, because I know what's there. We get a lot of questions about expungements. We get a lot of questions about what documents are confidential. We have a list of documents that are confidential. I'm not trying to make you into the confidentiality police. Your job is to accept filings and accept money. You don't need to try to read every single petition or document to see if something is confidential. If the filer made a mistake, the filer made a mistake. It's not up to you to catch it. Just send it on to the court and let the court deal with it. And Internet Explorer doesn't like me today, so that's okay. I will stop sharing, and since I'm not getting anywhere with this stuff, and are we back to, wait, I can't stop sharing. Can you turn it off?
It's at the very top. Do you see anything that has like a stop sharing? I mean, I think I can take it from you. Here, let me see if I give it to Galen. Will that work?
Thank you. That's why I don't work in court technology.
There, I gave it to Galen.
Thank you. Let's see, is there anything else I wanted to make sure you knew? I don't think so. Just know that we are here and we are ready to help you. Call us. Email is sometimes easier to get a hold of us, especially now that we are, a lot of us working from home. You'll get a faster answer. I think that's all I want to say, and I'll turn it over to Galen, and I think we'll have time for questions later. Thank you.
Thanks, Jeff. Hi, everybody. I'm Galen Strickland. I am the Director of Odyssey Implementation. And so I guess that kind of long history means I'm kind of in charge of the conversions from legacy case management systems to Odyssey, as well as kind of overall how Odyssey works and the functionalities and what is in there. So I think a lot of you either have been with the court for a while, and so Odyssey is nothing new to you, or hopefully you were able to attend our new clerk training that we did at the beginning of the year that kind of went a little more in depth about how to navigate Odyssey and how to do some of the things there. But overview, Odyssey is a case management system that we purchased the license from Tyler Technologies. Tyler Technologies is in charge of making Odyssey do what it does and the code that runs behind that. So there are some things we cannot add. Like if you say, I want a field for this, I don't have the ability to add fields or to change functionality of Odyssey in the broad scope. There are parts of Odyssey that are configurable. I guess let me back up. The other thing you should know is that Indiana is not the only state that uses Odyssey as its case management system. So there are parts of Odyssey that are built within the core functionality of the system that other states use. Some of them we have been lucky enough to benefit from, and we're like, oh, there's a new box that says this. Oh, let's use that for that. We got something new. In other instances, we're like, what does that box even mean? It doesn't mean anything to Indiana, but I don't have the rights to take it away. Believe me, if I could limit out some of the screens that you see or some of the boxes that you see that other states use, I absolutely would. There is a big chunk of Odyssey that is configurable, and that means we can make it do what you want it to do for your county specifically. The overall goal of Odyssey is consistency among the courts. But we know that your courts run differently. You have different setup. Like Jeff mentioned earlier, how your office functions in relation to what's your job versus what's the court staff or the judge's job, that changes by county. And so we need to make the system flexible to be able to navigate in either of those worlds. So if Odyssey isn't doing something that you need it to do, you can contact our help desk. I'll give you that contact information in a little bit. And there are parts that we can change to make Odyssey meet your needs. So as you're getting more comfortable with the system, please feel free to reach out to us with those types of questions. We'll be happy to answer and research where we could make changes and where we can't. We do make every effort to follow the statutes and the rules. So there's a lot of things in the system that are terminology differences, especially as a county goes on to Odyssey. One chief example of this is there is a common theme of a speedy trial. An individual can ask for a speedy trial, and that's common vernacular across the courts around the state. But in the statutes and the rules, that's referred to as an early trial. So in order to kind of keep the peace and go by one set of terminology, we've gone by the statutes and rules. So everywhere in Odyssey, you will see that referred to as an early trial. It's what's commonly known or commonly referred to as a speedy trial, though. So that's a little of the history of how we built or why we built and why we use some of the terminology that we do use. Again, like Jeff, I don't have a ton to share with you, but hopefully you've seen some of this in a prior training, and now that you've been in Odyssey and been in the office, maybe some of it will click a little more than what may have clicked in the first couple of weeks of training. Can you see my screen? It should be on Odyssey. Do you see that? Okay. So one of the main things I wanted to be sure, we refer to Alt F1 a lot. So if you ever hear us say, oh, it's on Alt F1, I wanted to let you know exactly what that is and what's available there. So if I hold my Alt button on my keyboard and I hit the F1 button on my keyboard, it's going to pop up a new window. This changes based on a couple of different things. One, the screen that I'm on. So I was on the Case Manager home screen, so it popped up straight to the cheat sheets website. But if I go to find a case, and I'm just going to pull up a infraction case that I know will exist out there. And like Jeff, I'm sharing, so it's going at a snail's pace. So I'm going to do 49. I happen to know 49D22 is Marion County's traffic court, so I'm just going to go look for an infraction case to pull up. So I'll just pull up the first case of the year. And now on the summary screen, once that loads, I'm going to do the Alt F1 key combination again. And what pops up is going to look a little bit different. So instead of going straight to the cheat sheets, because I am in a case and not on the Home tab, I have different options available to me. I can still get to the cheat sheets by clicking this hyperlink here, but this screen has a little more data available to you. So if you're looking for SR16s, which is your information that you may have sent to the BMV to suspend driver's license or to put points on an individual's driver's license for convictions, that information will show here. You can jump straight to the driver record. If you need to see their driving record to see what has happened, you can click that button. You can see what e-notices have been sent to this person. There's different things that you can get to off of this screen. So I just wanted you to know that that changes based on the screen that you're in Odyssey. And I'm going to click on the cheat sheets link. So many counties have also, not only do they get to the cheat sheets based off Alt F1, but they have copied this hyperlink and made it a favorite. So if you are in your browser, I have it saved as a hyperlink here. I click cheat sheets and I go straight there. So I can be in Odyssey and get to it, or I can get to it straight from my browser so that I don't have to be within the application itself. So if you want to save that off as a favorite, you absolutely can. Within the cheat sheets, much like Jeff's page, there's a bunch of different sections. You can say what you're interested in, and within each interested in section, Odyssey Basics, there's a couple of different options that you can get to. So you can search for just scrolling through here, or you can do some keyword search. If I search for 1099, it's going to bring back only the cheat sheets that refer to creating my 1099 records. So you can narrow that down. The cheat sheets, once you get into a cheat sheet, these are PDF documents, if you haven't seen one, that kind of walk you through step by step. Sign into Odyssey, click here, click there, do this, type that, pick this drop down. So hopefully it's a step-by-step walkthrough of the steps you need to take to navigate to do the process that you're wanting to do. And the cheat sheets are more process-driven than any of the trainings that we typically would give. The other things available to you on the cheat sheets page is the video library. So these videos here are actual training sessions. It's basically similar to what we would do if your county were converting to Odyssey today and you knew nothing about Odyssey or how it worked. These videos would be what we would do when we come out into your county. So if you have a new staff member join your ranks and you want to get them started in them, you can absolutely have them watch these videos that talk about the Odyssey Basics is the first one I would have anybody watch. It's the how to navigate around Odyssey, what it does, some of the shortcuts that you can type within the application to move faster. Odyssey is keyboard driven, meaning I can have my hands on the keyboard for most of the time, or I can point click. Kind of depends on which school of thought you're with, whether you like having your hand on the mouse or whether you'd rather have your hands on the keyboards. But those training videos are available for you there. And the other thing that I'll just briefly mention is view Odyssey R17 videos. So if you've been around for a little while, we had planned to take a new release of Odyssey in September of 2019. And we were prepping for that and doing testing, and we found some issues that we felt like would be detrimental to the clerks and the court staff if they weren't fixed before we took it. So we sent that back to Tyler Technologies and basically said these are showstoppers, and Indiana won't take R17 until these items are resolved. So we're again in the preparation stage of moving to R17, and we've tentatively slated that for this fall, looking in somewhat the October timeframe to possibly take R17. Again, that date is not set in stone. But what R17 does is it changes the look and feel and navigation of Odyssey. So right now you have the left navigation bar that controls how you move around and what screens you get to. And in R17, that moves to a top bar, and so the options change a little bit. So the R17 videos are what we have put out there that you can watch. They're still good videos, even though it's even though that we recorded those a couple years ago, they're still good videos of what is coming. So if you'd like to get a jump start, you could go to the View R17 videos, and we have preview videos. This is essentially, I'm familiar with what Odyssey does. I just want to know what's going to change. Those would be the preview videos up here. So and then we started working on redoing some of the videos that we have in the normal video section in the R17 navigation structure. So those are all available to you. They're not limited out. You can watch those at any time. Again, that's not coming until later this year. So if you're still getting your feet wet with Odyssey and how to navigate around in it, please feel free to disregard this until later. As we get closer to the time frame, we will do some scheduled times that we'll make available to do Zoom sessions about the changes in the navigation and allow everybody to kind of see it and move through it and ask questions about it at that time. So that's Alt F1 R17. The other things I wanted to let you know are more functional. So as I was doing some of the configuration to change the Odyssey setup from your outgoing clerk to you, there were some features that I noticed are not being used, and they're completely optional by your county. So I just want you to know that they exist, that if you want to use them, you may. Maybe you're already using them. One is signatures on checks. So when you print your checks out at the end of the day or end of the week, or for your state and county disbursements at the end of the month or the 6-month period, Odyssey has the ability to automatically put your signature, a digital image of your signature on the check, so that as your checks are printing, your signature is affixed to that. We're limited in the play we have with how to move it around. So if your check stock has a hard line on it, a signature line, we have had slight issues with trying to get your signature positioned directly on the line and not floating somewhere above it or to where it looks like the line is crossing through that. But if you're considering ordering new check stock, or when you're running low and you want to reorder, if you're not using the signatures or you want to make changes with that, please let us know. We'll be happy to work with you. Putting your signatures is a configuration thing that we can turn off and on. So if you are using it and you decide, I want to hand sign every check we print, we can turn it off. If your signature is not printing and you say, I don't want to hand sign every check we're issuing, we can turn that on. Along with the financials, we have auto recon. So it's an auto reconciliation piece. Some of you are using that. That is where you would get your bank activity for the month downloaded into a comma file or Excel, some file. In that way, we can't work with a PDF. So if you download your statement as a PDF, this auto reconcile won't work for you. But if you have the option to download your activity into some kind of a CSV file, a comma separated value file, what we do is we do some coding behind the scenes, and you can upload that file to Odyssey, and it will go through, and when you're doing your bank reconcilement, it will check mark the checks that have cleared that match the check number and the dollar amount. And we also have the option to clear deposits. So some of you may be using Auto Recon for checks only and not the deposit portion. If you want to expand that, that is a feature that we built on later down the road, and we have some checks and balances in with that to look at, make sure the deposit amount matches, make sure the date of the deposit is kind of in range with the date of the deposit in Odyssey, and make sure there's only one deposit of that amount. So if you get, if you have $500 deposits and there's 3 on your statements, which ones do you check? Those you would still have to look at manually. But by and large, most of your deposit amounts are unique number amounts that are easily cleared. So if you'd like to look at any of those, if you're not doing that currently, please feel free to contact our help desk and we can work with you to set that up. The final feature to talk about is positive pay. So positive pay is a function with your bank account, and it's essentially you upload a file every morning or every evening to your bank of the checks that you've issued that day. Your bank then keeps a list of that and says, oh, we issued check 1234 for $500. So when that check comes into the bank to be cleared, if they get check 1234 for $5 million, they're clearly going to say, this doesn't match my predetermined list of what the clerk's office says they issued, so they'll reject it for fraud. We have had several clerk's offices who have had their bank accounts had checks clear fraudulently through their bank accounts. So this is a feature that we have available if your bank has it set up to where you can upload the file. The way that works is we would create that file that you would get out of Insight and download, and then you would go to your bank institution and upload that file to the bank. So if that's not something you're using currently, but you have an interest in, again, please reach out to our help desk and let us know. I think the final FYI, now that you've been in the office for a little bit, is we do have an Odyssey user group, and we meet quarterly. And the purpose of the user group is kind of a open forum for Q&A, some things that you're experiencing that you want to know, hey, why is this happening, or what's the plan for that? We don't often get a ton of agenda items from clerk staff ahead of time. So what we do is we also do an agenda, and we tell you, here's the stuff that's coming down the pike that we're working on building, designing, or improving in our office, just so you know these things are coming. Or this law changed, and now you have to do XYZ. Or this law changed, and now you don't have to do XYZ, whatever direction that goes. So it's just kind of an information sharing forum time. It is not specifically for the elected clerk or the clerk staff. It is open to all Odyssey users, so it would be your court judges, your court staff, clerks, you're welcome to come. If you have staff that you'd like to say, I don't want to go to that meeting, but I'd like to send my chief deputy or one of my staff to that meeting, it's available to all. So if you'd like to sign up to get notice of those and the invite, again, it's our help desk. So I'm going to throw up here on the screen. Hopefully you've gotten this information a couple of different times, and you can call our help desk or email. Email often works the best with the help desk, but by all means, if you need an immediate answer, by all means, call us. The hours are 8 to 5, Monday through Friday. And Jeff said you can ask any questions to him as well. So one of the things, just so you know, by all means, go straight to Jeff. We won't be heartbroken if you go straight to Jeff. But the other thing that we work well with Jeff, and so there'll be a lot of times where we'll get a help desk ticket where someone is asking, what do I do with this or that? And I'm not an attorney, and so I don't want to steer you wrong. So a lot of times we will take our issues and say, okay, Jeff, we got a help desk ticket that says they want to know what the case type is in this weird situation. So can you, help tell us what the answer is? So you can feel free to use the help desk in that way as well. So I think that's the end of my planned stuff. So I think I'm ready to go to Q&A, Ricky. So I don't know if anything's come in the chat. That's what I was talking about.
One question that came up is, so they must have missed the Odyssey training. Is there a link for that training?
I do not currently have a link for that. It was a 3-day training, and essentially it was the videos that are in the Alt F1 training video. So we did not record this. Your best bet would be going to the Alt F1 to the Odyssey training video library and starting there.
Perfect. I have control of your cameras and your microphones, or feel free to use the chat box as it's been used to ask any questions that you have. We're available.
You have their attention right now. It's not always easy to get, so take advantage.
Okay, thank you. I know didn't I say? Yeah, Wendy's on here. I always pick Wendy because in all our clerks, Wendy always says something.
You make her.
I know, right? But she seems okay about it.
Hi. I'm unmuting now to say hello because I'm always asking questions. I'm too new to know what questions to ask because my clerks do a lot of the things that you guys are talking about, and they've been here a long time. I'm focusing on other things, I think, is my role, and I'm still navigating, so I don't know if anybody else is just as involved or not as involved as I am with all the clerk stuff up front.
Well, it's great to meet you, Wendy. You're down in Scott County?
Yes, Scott County, little old Scott County, about 26,000 people.
So, well, I know your courts are busy, so.
Yeah, we like to get in trouble around here. There's nothing to do but get in trouble, I guess. My husband was sheriff, and we found that out very quickly when the jail started overflowing, and we had to build an addition. So here I am in the courthouse. But things are going well, lots of support, and I appreciate all the training for sure.
Well, we appreciate you, and I don't mean to call you out. I just know that you're open to talking, so you're always my go-to in this.
I am. I'm a therapist in nature. I was a recreation therapist, so I don't mind talking and sharing. So.
We did have a question come in. It says, in the Odyssey user group that meets quarterly, how again do you sign up for that?
You email the help desk. It's helpdesk@courts, courts.in.gov, and just say, I'd like to be included in the Odyssey user group. And then when we send out the meetings for that, we'll ask you a couple weeks in advance for any agenda items that you'd like to add to the agenda, and then we'll send you the Zoom link to join in. We just had our last meeting on Friday, so we're looking at the next meeting, I think in June or July, based off of our current deployment schedule. So it will be a little bit before you would get one, but don't wait to sign up because if you want to join, I don't want you to forget. So if you email now and you want to join, feel free and we'll get you on the list. I did think of one other thing that I'm going to throw in here just for everybody, and that is about changing banks. So I want you to know that court technology and I don't think India Office of Court Services, I don't think we have any concern with what bank you use or if you want to change your bank. So if you're currently using, I don't know, Chase and you want to switch to Fifth Third, that's completely your call. I just want you to know that there is quite a bit of configuration that needs to be done if you determine to go that route. So your e-file deposits, so when somebody does e-filing, that deposit automatically goes into your bank. So we need to work with Tyler to transition that. And there's a timing. We need to make sure that we're getting the deposits to the right account in the right time frame. So there's coordination with that. If you are using our ePay feature, which ePay, if you're not familiar with that terminology, it's you can sign in to use us, and you can go onto the website and people can pay their traffic tickets online, and we process that. We post that payment directly to Odyssey for you, and then that deposit would go also to your account. So there's coordination that needs to be handled with that. So we do e-pay for traffic tickets, so traffic and OV cases. We also do criminal fine payments, criminal costs payments, let me say it that way, on criminal cases. So if you have a criminal misdemeanor case and the person was ordered to pay court costs of X and maybe you collect probation fees, and maybe there's an alcohol and drug services program fee that they also have to pay, as well as restitution, they can pay the fees part of that, everything but restitution. They can pay that through our e-pay application. So if you want to sign up for that, again, help desk and we'll coordinate. Or if you just want more information, that lady mentioned something about some e-pay. Can you give me more information? I will be happy to get that to you. But those are another piece of coordination that needs to happen in order to get your bank account changed. In addition, we have to change every fee code and the account that points to. And so it's best to do it over a weekend. If we try to do it over just a Tuesday night to Wednesday morning, it's more difficult because we have to change all of the configuration in there. So just wanted you to know, if you're considering changing your banks, please reach out to Court Technology well in advance of any commitment to change. We will not balk at you changing by any stretch of the imagination, but we just want to help you coordinate all the moving parts to make sure that we've done everything we need to do to help you be successful. And Clerk Jones, I see you about e-pay. I will send you an email on that one. I see your comment.
That's a lot of nice information. Good information. Oh, let's see. Is there anybody else here that has any questions? Because like Lori said, this is the time to ask if you have them. We have their undivided attention. They are busy, busy.
You probably won't get this again until June.
We didn't talk about, go ahead.
No, yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, we didn't talk about e-filing a whole lot other than the fees portion there. So I know that's usually a topic of many questions there. So thought I'd throw that topic out there.
Right. Watching and see. And, coming in new, like I think Wendy said, she's focusing on one, she's got her people in there. And so at least does give a face to a name and lets them know. I know my first Clerks conference was in 2019. We didn't have one. So it was the first time I actually saw how when you guys are up there, they are all like, they have lots of questions for you guys. You are the rock stars when you walk in, right?
I do know one question we get a lot is, can we use a collection agency to collect unpaid fees? And you can, and I have information on that. If there's anybody that wants that, I'll be glad to email it to you. You may already be using one.
A question we'll occasionally get is, I want to hire an outside credit card vendor where I can swipe the credit card at my counter or have online payments. Those are options that are available to you. The Court Technology e-pay is not the only game in town, and we're not trying to force that on anyone. So if you have a credit card vendor that you want to use, absolutely you can use it. The only advantage that e-pay gives you is that we do post that directly to Odyssey and remove that step for you. But if you have a credit card vendor that is going to provide services to you that you want to use or you want to keep using, by all means, that's completely up to you. We've been asked recently, we said this at the last user group meeting, but we've been asked recently to expand the e-pay into taking payments for like civil judgments. The reason we don't currently do that is that our current credit card vendor does not guarantee funds. So what that means is I could go out and steal somebody's credit card number, and I could go in and pay my $10,000 civil judgment that I owe Jeff using that stolen credit card. You then take that payment in and being the good steward and turn that check around and you send Jeff that money. and now the person whose credit card I stole puts that up for dispute, and the credit card company comes and takes that $10,000 away from your bank account and gives it back to the credit card holder. So you're left holding the bag because you've already sent that to Jeff. Good luck getting that money back because he's in Tahiti. So we don't want to leave you holding the bag with that money. So we're looking at different payment options and different ways that we could do a guaranteed credit card transaction, which means if I stole somebody's credit card to pay my judgment for Jeff, that the credit card, if I stole that, the credit card company would eat that loss, and you as the clerk would not get that money taken out of your account. So we don't want you holding the bag on any of that. So we're currently researching that. It is a more costly transaction, and so we're kind of trying to figure out how those work.
I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
I told you I'd have one because you just helped me generate that. Because it came up about bond payments. Is that why we don't use credit cards to pay the bonds here at the court? We can use it, PayGov, for other fees, but somebody gets out of jail and they use credit card and we don't have that money right away. You know, it's not really ours yet until it's cleared bank, and is that kind of a delay there?
That could be part of it. I don't know. Partially depends probably on your contract with PayGov or GovPay. I can't remember who you said you were with. But I don't know if your funds are guaranteed or if you have chargebacks, and I don't know if there's any. I would send that email to State Board of Accounts. I don't know if there's any prohibition saying you can't use credit card for bond money. I don't know if that's prohibited or not.
Okay.
I don't know off the top of my head. Lori, do you know if there's anything?
I'm trying to put it together. I think we've had some questions in the past, and I think it's a matter of what she was talking about, as you know, and you're doing your due diligence, and she immediately sent that check to Jeff. I think if you're taking bonds by credit card or any other, because there was a problem with money orders where they were doing money orders and then immediately canceling them, make sure you get the money first before you return it to anybody. So if it's on a credit card or it's something, make sure it's in your bank and it's valid before they claim it back. And that way You're not left holding it.
Yeah. And with credit cards, so I stole that person's credit card to pay Jeff. Just because that money hits your bank 2 days later doesn't mean that person can't come take it away. So that person has up to 60 days after their last statement date. So if I stole a credit card, I stole Lori's credit card, and her last statement date was last Friday. She now has 30 days till her next statement date, and then 60 days after that, to where Lori could say, "Hey, this is not my charge. I didn't pay $10,000." So there is this long window without guaranteed funds. There's this long window that the credit card holder has to say, "I don't want to pay that." And that's great for the credit card holders and for those of us who may have had somebody try to charge something on our credit card. But in your situation where I need to know I have that money, not so great.
Okay. That our policy right now is that no, we aren't doing it. I just wanted to make sure I was in the same page of understanding as to why. We had at the jail we had a kiosk, and people could come in and pay through the kiosk machine by a credit card, and it was a quick process for us. We were just receiving that transaction, but it went right into our bank, and if there was a discrepancy or whatever, it was dealt with through that company. They had their own kind of, I guess, bonded guarantee to that. They took us out of that risk, if you will. So I don't think we're doing it right now. We're just taking cash for that reason.
Yeah.
I don't know if any of you have rooms filled with old paper court records that you're wondering if you need to keep. I have Tom Jones on staff, our records manager, who will be glad to, when COVID is finally over, come out to your courthouse and help you go through that stuff and decide what can be destroyed and what needs to be saved. So right now I'm trying to find other things for Tom to do because his job is to come out and help you guys. So if you find time to go through your old closets, let me know. I'll be glad to get Tom out to you. If you want to do it yourself, Tom's available by phone, and he's a great guy. You'll like working with him.
Anybody else? Some are quiet. I will say that I hope in June, again, that we are able to meet in person so that we can see everybody. We are hopeful that, and if we are and you're there, please make a point to come up and talk to all of us, introduce yourself again in person. There's something about meeting somebody in person versus this virtual world, though we're making it work the best we can. So I do, invite you one more time. Will SBOA be coming to the counties to do audits anytime soon? So the AFRs are not due in until the end of this month, March 1st. February 28th is really, or is it March 1st? Is February 28th on a weekend?
No, February 29th if it's a leap year. Otherwise, it's March 1st.
Right. Okay. So anyway, they will not be done until after that time period because that's what we do use to audit. So we don't have a time set of when they're going to go in. We just know it'll be sometime after March 1st. And Wendy said that would be great to have Tom come out to Scott County.
I will get you in touch with Tom.
Thank you, Jeff. I appreciate it. I have been communicating with him on a few things. So there's a lot of record retention and management here as well. So he'd be a great person to go over a few things here.
I want to let especially the new clerks know you can't just decide to throw things out on your own if it's a court record. There are some things that have to be maintained a long time. So call us before you start doing that. Thank you.
Yes.
Orange County is also interested in Tom.
Great.
He's getting his dance card filled.
That's right. Okay. Uh-oh. There we go. Anybody else? Really, we've had quite a bit of give and take.
Good discussion, yeah.
I like these. I like discussions.
One last question, and it may be a help desk question for the e-notifications from Tyler Host. There's several that I'm getting that I need to get myself off of those notifications because I don't actually do things with them. They end up just being sorted into my folders with all these long, huge attachments to them. It has to do with every prosecutor or anybody that does a filing or update on their envelope. And all my clerks handle all those, and they get all of those email notifications. So it really inundates my inbox, but I was wondering who I would talk to maybe get off of those, if that's possible. It's only through the Tyler Host, the no reply type of notifications I'm getting.
I think you're muted.
Yeah, she's muted.
You'd think we've been doing this for a year and I would know this, but darn it if I don't do it every time. I also have kids at home doing the homeschool education, and so when I'm not talking, I try to mute myself so that nothing inadvertent happens, but then I end up so I think there's a couple of different places for that, Clerk McLean, that may be that. There's 3 emails that I know of from Tyler Host that you may be that you should be getting, and those are you should get one for the daily financials that got you filed. You should get one that's reviewer operations that tells you who accepted each envelope for the day. And there's one that's called filing states. And that's just kind of, you have this many envelopes that are accepted. You have this many envelopes that are sitting there under review. And you have this many envelopes that are this. So that's just kind of a direction there. I am going to... Let's see if I'm going to share my screen again here. So hopefully you can see, I'm trying to get into the Tyler login site. Hopefully that's my right password. We had to change our passwords recently, and so I'm like, I don't know which one it was. So if I'm logged in and I go to my account, there's a manage notifications section at the top.
Mm-hmm.
And you may have a lot of these check marks that say, show me every time an envelope gets filed, show me when it gets rejected, show me when an envelope is submitted. So you may have some of these checked that would be driving the notifications that are being sent to you.
Yeah, I went through and unchecked what I didn't need, and I guess I'm still getting one that has to do with envelopes. It's I forget the name of it, but it.
When you get one tomorrow morning,
yeah.
If you will forward it to me.
Okay.
I think you have my email address, but I'll just put it down here for everybody.
Okay.
May make that a little bit smaller so you can get that all in one line. That figures.
Okay.
So if you get that tomorrow morning, or if you have one, if you would forward it to me, and that way I can kind of try and track down like what's the source of that.
Okay, that'd be great. And yeah, and then you mentioned the 3 that I should be getting. Is that just me as a clerk should be getting, or just my deputy clerks who handle all the work up front? Is that just typical?
We typically make sure the clerk gets them also.
Okay.
I think your deputy clerks should be getting them as well. Now, I don't know, this is for all of you. In the transition that happened, we worked to set you up and to make sure you were getting the reports you needed, but we don't necessarily know if your chief deputy changed. So if you brought in a new chief deputy, or you changed your staffing in any way that might drive, I don't need this, but my new bookkeeper does, that would be a help desk ticket that we would need to get those reports. But I would say especially the financial ones, your bookkeeper is going to need that to balance.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I think the ACH notices you're talking about that you get from the Auditor of State. No, that's different. Well, we can communicate in the email tomorrow. I'll go ahead and make a note there. Thank you, Gabe.
Yep. I guess I'll throw out here too, just because we did talk about those emails from Tyler, I wanted you to know we are working on a way to where we're building a dashboard partially in Insight. I guess I didn't bring up Insight, but a dashboard that would be available to be in Insight that would show you, instead of sending all those emails out every day, it would just be loaded with your data. So your clerk or whoever could come to see my total deposits yesterday were, $522.73. That's my total deposit. So it would stop those emails as a reliance on the email, because one thing we have seen with our e-notices, which is the notices that we have the process where we're sending it out to the parties on the case when you make certain entries in events and attach a document. We're sending so many notices out, and emails have this kind of, that's a threshold or a thread that kind of says we can only do so many at a time, and we throttle that. So if I'm a prosecutor, or if I'm maybe one of your public defenders and I have a lot of cases and you're going to be sending me a lot of emails related to my cases, maybe my email server can only handle 200. And so you're sending me 210, and so 10 emails I don't get because my email server has throttled them. So either they delay in delivery, and it completely depends upon your email service provider. There isn't anything that court technology can do to solve that issue, because it's the email server on your side of things, or on the receiver's side of things. So it could be this law firm's e-file provider, which I can't do anything about. But in order to try and minimize the number of emails that we're trading around, one of the things that we're doing is to build this dashboard within Insight so that the emails and the communications we need to have with you are within Insight and they're not emails. So we'll just pull those out of the mix. So that's one of the things that we're looking at doing. So those 3 emails from Tyler that you all as clerks should be getting for the reviewer operations, who accepted envelopes, the daily financials, how much money you should have in yesterday's till, and your refiling states, those 3 emails would be moved into this dashboard. And then any other staff you want to get at those or have access to that, we can change with rights and roles on our end. If you have staff that you need to do an Insight user agreement for, you can go to Documents, Insight, and I thought we had a section down here for you, but I think you're under Courts now that I think about it. So you have a Clerk Insight user agreement. If you click this document, this is the user agreement that will show all of the applications that you are eligible to have, you and or your staff, and some of the options within that. So you can fill those out. I know you all, when you came in, we kind of copied the rights that your predecessor has. So if there's something that you're missing that you want, you can fill out this user agreement. If you get a new staff member, it would be sending this user agreement and mailing it or emailing it to the help desk. There's also Odyssey user agreements within here. I don't come out here a whole lot, Odyssey forms. So if you need new Odyssey user accounts, so that's a source that you can go to look at getting people set up.
Well, we are right. Unless anybody has any other questions. We appreciate you guys coming and doing the session with us. I know that the newly elected clerks here do appreciate it as well. It gives them face to a name. Moving forward, sorry. She said, I don't think I am receiving daily emails. They're going to Deputy Clerk 1. So they're going to her Deputy Clerk in Orange County. And
I can check that out. I think you started using you were the clerk at co.orange.in.us, and you just kind of took over that email box from Beth Jones, if I remember right. So I don't think we made any changes, but I will check with Tyler on those current emails. I assume from this that you want them, and so I will make sure that you're on that. Okay. Make a note of that.
I will also say that Jeff put his email inside the chat box, so as a way for anybody to reach. Elizabeth says, okay, thanks. I would like to receive them. And Galen gave you hers. So again, if you have questions, emailing them, will work. If you have questions for Lori or I, you can email us as well. We do, again, appreciate you guys coming on here today with this session and doing this. We hope to see you guys in June. We hope to see somebody in June. Anybody. We appreciate everybody coming and tuning into these sessions. It's kind of sad to see it come to an end, just because, it was kind of a way for us to get to kind of know you in these short little groups. So again, we appreciate your time, everybody's time, whether you came to watch or you came to present. We are just very, very grateful. And we really appreciate the teamwork and working together with everybody. So we thank you. And if you need anything, you've got our contact information. So don't hesitate to call us or to give us an email, and we'll help you the best we can. And on that note, I guess we will dismiss you, and good luck, and hopefully we'll see you in June.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Good evening.